Hello, and welcome back to Afraid Movies. Today we're going to be taking a look at a 2017 American psychological horror thriller film titled 12 Feet Deep. Spoilers ahead, watch out for that and take care. Assuming both you and a person of interest were trapped for an entire day in a container of water, how would you survive such an experience? The movie starts at the Katia Aquatic Center, where we see the manager, Mr. McGrady, hanging signs around the center which suggest that they will be closing till the holidays are over. Meanwhile, we soon see our first protagonist, Bree, taking a swim, while also taking breaks to monitor her blood glucose levels. Also, if you have a keen eye, you will notice the burn mark on her arm. Now, before she returns back to the pool, she considers taking off her diamond ring, which she wore earlier on. We are then taken outside the parking lot where we soon see Bree's sister and second protagonist, Jana. She sits patiently in the car while contemplating on if she should go in or not. But after some consideration, she puts her phone inside the glove compartment of her car and enters the building. She then approaches her sister after changing into her swimming suit. Bree looks obviously happy to see her, because it's been a while since they went out together. One key reason was because Jana had initially been in rehab, but ever since she left, she's been clean for 3 months now. After talking for a while, both sisters decide to go swimming in the pool together. We then transition to the lost and found area, where we see the janitor, Clara, checking the forgotten wallets for some cash to steal. But unfortunately for her, Mr. McGrady walks in just in time and catches her in the act. He then mentions how he regrets saying all those good things about her to her parole officer before firing her. But before she leaves, he orders her to finish her shift. The sisters are having a good time swimming together until McGrady tells them to leave. Jana immediately points out that the pool is open until 7, so McGrady explains to them that the center closes earlier for the holiday weekend and insists that she learns how to read. Gianna takes offense to his tone, but doesn't show it. The sisters soon get out of the pool and start drying themselves up shortly before Bree shows Jana her ring, but after checking her bag, she couldn't find it. Jana then checks the pool and sees the ring stuck in the metal grill at the bottom. So Bree also jumps in to try and retrieve it, but they were unable to do so. So Jana jumps in as well to assist her. With both girls underwater and the rest of the visitors gone, McGrady feels the building is empty and starts closing up the pool. At that moment, Jana's hair gets stuck in the metal grill, and in the process of untangling it, they don't notice the fiberglass cover being released over the pool until it was too late. They're now trapped inside the pool. Now scared, the girls start hitting the cover while screaming for help. But McGrady had already left the building. However, Jana thinks he did it on purpose. After a while, they decide to push against the cover to check how solid it is. But as you'd expect, it doesn't budge. Then Bree suggests checking the seals and edges to see if any has a weak spot. While checking the areas, Jana spots a pair of swimming trunks and a condensation hole on the fiberglass, and Bree soon manages to get the plastic cover from an opening in the wall. She then breaks it in half and tries fixing the cover hole with the shard, while Jana continues making her morbid and sarcastic comments, even after Bree tells her she just got engaged to her boyfriend, David. She also points out that their situation wasn't her fault, but Jana wasn't having any of it, describing her as Miss Perfect. Jana later tells Bree how hard rehab was and how sad she was after she came back and didn't find her sister at home. Bree apologizes, saying she has her own life now. Jana soon starts to think that Bree is intentionally rubbing it in, while Bree also concludes that it was her sister that threw the ring in the pool. Angry, Bree swims to the bottom and once again tries to remove the ring from the grill, but this time she is successful. She resurfaces and finds Jana sawing the cover hole with a shard, which cuts her hand in the process. Bree then asks Jana to help her pry off the grill, which she intends to use to break the fiberglass, but Jana feels it is a waste of time. Soon after, Bree's phone starts ringing and it's her fiancé, David. The thought excites Bree because that means David will come looking for her soon. But of course, Jana still had her pissy attitude. As night falls, Jana still searches for a weak spot while Bree stands against a wall, not looking so great. David soon calls again, which triggers another argument between the sisters. But soon after, Jana realizes that Bree doesn't look well and asks her what is wrong. Bree opens up saying she was diagnosed with diabetes 3 years ago, and she needs her shot, which unfortunately was in her purse. And if she doesn't take it soon, she might fall into a diabetic coma. Just then, we see Claire enter the building to finish her shift. At the time, both Bree and Jana take turns sawing the cover hole. Jana soon notices the burn marks on Bree's arm, pointing out that they've never talked about it. But her counselor in rehab suggested it, so she insisted that they do. She finally wants to know what really happened on the day that they lost their father. From what we got, Jana couldn't remember anything from that day. All she knows is what both Bree and their mother had told her. Immediately, Bree calls their father a monster and tells Jana everything, saying that night he came back drunk, and the cigarette he was smoking fell on the pillow when he passed out. He was so drunk he didn't even know there was a fire next to his head, nor did he scream for help. She got the burn marks when she tried waking him up. But while the conversation was still going on, Clara entered the room. She soon spots Bree's purse when her phone starts ringing once again. But before she could steal it, she hears the girls screaming out for help. Clara asks the girls how they got in there, and at the same time looks through Bree's wallet phone when suddenly she realizes that the security cameras are on. She tells the girls to wait for a moment, then goes over to the control room to turn off the cameras. Afterwards, she returns back to the pool and starts asking strange questions. She also asks Bree for the password to her phone. Bree gives it to her under the assumption that she would call the police. But instead, Clara makes fun of her and starts playing David's messages to them. Jana soon loses her patience and insults Clara, which prompts her to cut to the chase. Clara explains her current predicaments to them, saying she has bills to pay, but can't get a job since she just got out of prison. She then offers to help them out if Bree gives her the PIN code to her ATM. At first, the sisters refuse, but Clara immediately turns off the heater and threatens them with a freezing night. Left with no choice, Bree gives her the code, but instead of helping them, Clara leaves with Bree's wallet instead. Some hours later, the cold starts taking a toll on Bree. So Jana decides to try and pry off the grill, but she is too scared to even make an attempt. As she resurfaces, she realizes that Bree was falling asleep, so she rushes over to wake her up. She feels bad because she didn't make an attempt on the grill and calls herself useless, but Bree reassures her that she wasn't. Later, Jana uses the shard once again to saw the cover hole, but Bree already concludes that it was a waste of time. Bree then urges her to talk about her suicide attempts, to which Jana explains that something inside her is eating her up. She also mentions how their father's abuse had changed her, but all of a sudden Clara returns and complains that Bree only had $80 in her account. The sisters once again beg for help, but Clara insists that she might leave them to die. She then leaves the room to think a bit. Soon after, Jana comes up with an idea and starts sharpening the shard against the wall. She calls for Clara and pretends to be crying. She claims to have a confession to make, and as Clara brings her ear to the hole, Jana stabs her with the shard. A furious Clara first checks her wound in the bathroom, then goes to the control room to turn on the pool's automatic cleaning system, which causes the girls to choke from all the chlorine. Bree loses consciousness for a few seconds, but Jana prevents her from drowning. She then swims to the hole to tell Clara that she's killing them. Clara soon realizes how bad that would be for her, so she takes pity on them and turns off the cleaning system. She tells the sisters that she is in charge now, and offers them freedom for Bree's ring. Bree accepts her offer and gives Clara the ring since they had no other choice. Immediately, Clara leaves the room, telling them she'll let them out when she is ready. But now, Bree needs some time alone, so she swims to the opposite side of the pool to sleep a bit. But when she wakes up, she sees Jana with a plastic shard on her neck, about to take her own life. Bree talks her out of it and promises to always be there for her when it is all over. Jana then apologizes and hugs her sister. In the other room, Clara is still trying to make up her mind while staring at the ring and listening to David's messages. She eventually returns back to the pool. and we hear Bree tell Jana to follow her lead. The sisters tell Clara that she isn't a monster, and they've thought about everything and to change how they do things from now on. Clara feels bad for them and finally offers to help, but when she goes to the control room and punches in the code, it doesn't work. She tells the girls what happened and they ask her to call the police instead. But Clara is too scared to go back to prison because it almost took her life the last time she was in there. So instead, she puts Bree's purse back on the bench and leaves the building. Some hours later, we can see how weak Bree is, but when Jana comes over to check on her, Bree confesses that she knew what their father did to her whenever he entered her room. So that night, instead of waking him up, she decided to end him once and for all, and even held him down so that he wouldn't escape. Jana then tells her it was her turn to carry now. Before diving underneath to make another attempt on the grill again, after 2 failed attempts, she comes up with an idea to use the swimming trunks they found earlier to wrap around the grill bars. That way she can pull it with ease. She pulls it twice before it eventually comes off, then takes it to the surface where she finds Bree unconscious. She then uses mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to reanimate her sister. Then afterwards, she hits the fiberglass cover with the grill bar, successfully breaking it in the process. They suffer some cuts, but Bree is still unconscious as she is dragged out. After quickly giving Bree her shot, she finally wakes up. But their happiness didn't last long because unfortunately for them, Clara returned this time with a gun in her hand. She points the gun at them, threatening to shoot because she was afraid the girls would report her to the police. Jana then begs for Bree's life, saying her sister is all she's got, which makes Clara a lot more sympathetic. She puts the gun away and gives them the ring. Jana then uses Bree's phone to call the police, but tells Clara to leave before they get there. The movie then cuts to Bree waking up on a stretcher, surrounded by paramedics shortly before Jana gives her back the ring. And when Bree asks how she got it back from Clara, Jana answers saying they've killed the monster. The movie then ends with both sisters hugging as the paramedics take them away. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and turn on notifications.